Hey, yo, everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video. And this is going to be a hybrid video of sorts, a fusion, a DNA digivolution of basically a video that I've been wanting to do leading towards the end of the year and my comic load video. Which, I must apologize, I'm sorry I didn't post up a video the past week or two. Basically, I was working the week that comics did come out, and then last week, no comics really came out for me, so I just didn't post a video. I was going to do basically an end-of-the-year review or my thoughts on stuff at the end of the year and kind of talk about the channel and how things have been and where things are going to go and so on and so forth. But, again, holidays and stuff, I just didn't get time to. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to sit down and at the end of it, I will talk about my comic load, right? Got these bad boys right here, ready to go. But I also want to take some time to talk about me this past year, talk about my channel this past year, talk about comics in general and the state of DC Comics, because although I dip and dab into other stuff like Marvel, IDW, or Boom and stuff like that, DC's really just kind of my shindig. It's my home. I mean, look, right? It's all DC. I mean, there's some Wolverines down there, and there's some Captain Americas off in the corner. I feel bad that they're down there, but DC's my bread and butter. It's my joy when it comes down to comic books. So I kind of want to talk about how I feel about DC in general. I also want to take some time to talk about Aquaman, because I saw the movie, about Titans, and also about Young Justice, and give you guys kind of a basic thoughts on those. And I guess the CW shows too, because they had their crossover, but they really haven't done much sense. So, with that said, let's just get right into it. Let's just talk about the year in review, 2018, going into 2019, and end it off by talking about comics, because that's what we're here for. That's what we love, is comics. So, first and foremost, 2018 has been a very decisive year for me, and very thought-provoking year for me, personally, more than anything else, right? And I'm going to talk about personal stuff first, which will then kind of go into the channel itself. A lot has happened in 2018. The biggest thing, of course, is my second son, my second-born, was born. He was spawned. He was brought into this world. My wife and I could not be happier. But with that said, I've been thinking a lot lately, and thinking can be great and it can be dangerous too, right? Have you ever just sat down and thought, and kind of really reanalyze yourself or your situation or your life? And that's something that I've been doing a lot lately. I've been listening to a lot more thought-provoking podcasts and watching a lot more thought-provoking videos about various different things, about a lot of stuff in the world. I've been watching a lot more political stuff than I'm used to. I don't know why, but I am. And a lot about health and about yourself, right? So one of the big things that have been changing for me is my weight. And I think I've talked about this before, but I really kind of want to dip into it a bit more. If any of you have watched my channel beforehand, way back in the Dizal, I think I've been on YouTube since 2006, so 13, 14 years almost? It's crazy. Right? You can look at me in my original videos where I actually show my face. The first videos were the silly Transformer ones, and then, well, I can't say silly because I enjoyed them. They were fun. Transformer figure reviews. But it was like it was being done by a 14-year-old. Give me credit, I was 18, 19 at the time. But anyways, you look at me when I was younger, right? All the way up until my mid-20s, thin face, and I was in great shape. Like, not to boast or anything, but I had a nice six-pack. I was fairly muscular, I was lean and cut, and then things change, right? Life happens. And I think one of the biggest contributing factors, and there's really 4 contributing factors that affected me and made me gain so much weight, was, having kids, right? Not to put it on my kids, but, like, having kids, that's a lot of work. Like, you can't just be like, hey, hon, I'm going to the gym for 2 hours. You literally need to navigate time for you to work out or to do something, right? I don't even do as much recreational time, which is fine, because, again, I love my kids. They're greatest joys in my life. But, right, time-consuming. So that job, right, when you're in college, it's easy to be thin. It's easy to be in good shape. And even some jobs give you flexibility to be able to maintain a certain lifestyle. I like to believe that your job and how much money you make equates to how much you have to work, right? And I work a lot to make a lot of money so that we can live and we can have the lifestyles that we have here. So, but it doesn't give me much time to actually work out, right? And I think the last bits is habits, right? I got into some bad habits of eating some shit. I used to never eat candy. I used to never drink soda. I still don't really drink soda, but I started eating candy, let's say, socially, I guess. And just eating bad foods, right? Which leads into what I've done to change things, right? I've just gotten into such bad foods, like, gross stuff. And recently I have kind of stopped that, right? I'm all about eating clean now, eating healthy stuff. I've limited my intake of certain things like sugars and fats, focusing a lot on just, eating the right stuff. Like tonight I made chicken with a little hot sauce, some peppers and onions. Simple stuff. I so wanted to just fuck with some pizza, but I didn't. So that, and with that said, in the past 3 weeks, right? So I've started this new diet in the past 3 weeks. I've lost about 13 pounds. My goal is to lose 40. My starting weight when I did this was 240 pounds. I will tell you that. I wish to get it down to 200 because my weight when I was competitively sparring and fighting was 190 to 200. So that's what I want to get back at. But that's kind of the big change for me, which kind of leads me into talking about the channel, right? I've been thinking a lot about me and thinking a lot about the changes that I have to make myself who I want to be and really allow as much time as I can. And I found that a lot of the things that I want to do on the channel, I don't have all the time to do it, right? I have individual videos for individual stuff. That's not to say I won't do it, but like when I restarted back up, right? Remember when I went on a 6-month hiatus and I kind of came back and I said, I'm going to do a video here, and a video here. It just wasn't possible. Finding it still kind of tough. And one of my best friends, I consider a brother, Connor, who runs OKayFabe, told me something that I didn't take quite to heart enough when I started, but I'm taking to heart now more, is just do what you can. Right? If it's a video week, put up a video week. If it's 2, put up 2. If you can do 3, do 3. But don't overextend what you can do, right? Because you're only going to piss people off. And I found that to be the case. So, as of right now, I feel comfortable doing 1 video a week talking about comics. If I can get another video out, I will. Which will mean that I'm going to be changing and editing my Patreon a bit. And I don't know exactly how I'm going to edit it. But I will. So, channel-wise, that's basically the big thing, is I'm going to be doing 1 video a week, right? Every week. There may be an off week because I do work on the weekends every 3rd weekend. So that does make things a little difficult reading the comics in time, because usually sometimes I don't get my comics till Friday or Saturday. And then busting through all these comics with enough time to do a video with 2 kids and a wife, it can be tough on those weekends. But again, try the best I can. And just get those videos out there. And I'm going to change my Patreon so that the people that support me on Patreon will still get something special, right? Whether it's timeline videos or thought-provoking videos or different kind of things, right? They will still get those. But I kind of want to go back to basics, right? Kind of like Batman, just shed all the shit and just wear the trunks again and go back to basics before he met Catwoman or before they started hooking up. I don't know. That is my ultimate goal. So, going forward in 2019, what you can expect from me is I will be doing my videos every week. And it will be my comic club video, talk about general stuff that's going on right now, and then dip and dab into random news and updates and stuff like that. With that said, let's talk about DC in this past year and comics in general. Might as well talk about, where should we start? Comics? TV? The app? Movies? Let's talk about the movies, right? Watch Aquaman. Loved Aquaman. It is not a perfect movie, but I fucking loved it. I think the best part of the movie was definitely the villains. I think Orm, Ocean Master, blew me away. I was not expecting as much as I got. And Black Manta, so good. The soundtrack for the villains were so great that Black Manta's theme is one of my workout themes. And not just that, I played in D&D. Like, when we play D&D, I do ambience and songs for certain things. So right now we're doing quests where there's a Dread Knight that shows up and just slaughters shit. And when he shows up, I play Black Manta's music. But the villains were great. But overall, I think it was a beautifully well done movie that took a lot from Jeff Johns' New 52 run, and I think it serviced Aquaman so very well. The costume looked great once he wore it. The only thing I would say, and I wouldn't say this is a bad thing, but it's definitely a noticeable thing, where there were so many things that were comic book accurate, right? Mirror, Black Manta, Orm, everything, right? From the themes and everything. Jason Momoa is playing basically Jason Momoa playing Aquaman. He doesn't quite have the stick in the mud feel that Aquaman kind of has. Because, not for nothing, Aquaman, great character. Interesting, very personal. But he's kind of gruff. He's kind of humorless, for lack of a term. Jason Momoa is not. But in saying that, really good. I don't know where it would rank on my list of DC films. My list of the DCEU films, so Man of Steel onwards, is not one that a lot of people would agree with. But I would have to say my favorite film is still Superman, Man of Steel. Right? I fucking love that film. A lot of people had to stick up their ass about it. A lot of people don't like it. That's fine. You don't have to. No problem with that. I love that film. Then I would say Wonder Woman and Aquaman are here. Wonder Woman, I have to say, was better for 2/3 of this movie, and then the ending was kind of meh. I would say Aquaman is more consistent throughout the whole entire movie, but they were both fantastic movies, right? I don't know who I would put over the other. I need to rewatch them both again. Then I would probably do Batman v Superman. Then I would do Justice League. Then I would do Suicide Squad. But hey, we have a lot of great movies coming out. We have Shazam coming out, so that's going to be fucking amazing. Birds of Prey seems to be getting a lot of push, which is awesome. The Joker movie should be interesting, even though it's not part of the DCEU. I think what DC needs to do is it just needs to stick to its guns. It needs to do two things to succeed, right? Thing number one. Well, three things, right? Thing number one, focus on their individual characters. Not for nothing, but it's kind of like in the comic books. Marvel has better teams than the comic books, but not as good individual comics. DC has better individual comics and not as good teams. It's not saying DC doesn't have good teams and Marvel doesn't have good individual comics, right? Like they have, the Spider-Mans of the world, and DC has the Justice League and the Titans of the world, but really, when you go to Marvel, you read Avengers, you read Defenders, we read X-Men, we read Champions, we read everything, all the X-Men, Astonishing, X-Men Red, Blue, Gold, Pink, Yellow, Orange, everything. Uncanny now. In DC, you go for the Batman, the Superman, Wonder Woman, the Green Lantern, the Flash. It's the individual stuff. That's how it should be with the movies, right? DC should not worry about its extended universe and the connectivity of it. Yeah, there can be a connectivity. There's no problem with that. Like mentioning that he fought Steppenwolf, there's nothing wrong with that. But having that movie need to be part of this connective world is not necessary. That's why I think the Joker movie should be so interesting, because it's its own creature. So DC needs to, A, focus on its individual stuff, B, allow creative freedom for his directors, right? When Wonder Woman's director, right, Patty Jenkins, had creative freedom, she pulled out a great film. When the Justice League movie didn't, it sucked, right? When Aquaman, director, had creative freedom, it turned out to be a great film, right? When Suicide Squad, director, didn't, it sucked. So creative freedom for the director and the approach, right? A little leash, but not too much. And then finally, just don't be Marvel. DC does best when it does DC. Marvel's successful. Yes, of course. Of course. They laid the groundwork, and boy, they beat you to the punch, DC. Just gotta admit that. But you know what? It's just the movies. And yeah, I know it's a big coin that that they're making, but when you do your thing and you're not doing Marvel's thing, you're making more money. Look at Aquaman. That is not a Marvel movie to me. That's not you trying to be a Marvel movie. That's a DC movie doing its thing and being successful, right? So that's what DC needs to do in the films. As for the TV shows, I'll just touch upon it. The Titans TV show is fucking fantastic. It ended a little awkwardly, and I think for a streaming service, that's okay. If it was a natural 22-episode series on the CW, maybe that might be a problem. But for the streaming service, I'm kind of okay with it ended. I think the acting has been on point. I think the storytelling has been on point. My favorite episode is, ironically, the Dawn and Hank and Dawn episode 10, I think. The one where they tell the origin of Hawk and Dove. That episode was so good. But the storytelling, the characters is so great. It does have its hiccups here and there, but it does service to the DCU. And it makes a lot of reference to a lot of DCU characters, right? They reference Justice League. They reference Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. They also show a lot of Batman's rogue gallery when he goes... I mean, maybe just their hands or them being covered up or whatever, but you see Joker, you see Two-Face, you see Riddler, and you see Batman. Silhouetted, right? But you see Batman. He beats the shit out of a lot of people. It's Nightmare Batman, doesn't count, but they handle the source material well. And is it darker? Yes. Do they try to be edgier more than they should? Yeah. But they're on the streaming app, so they can. But I really, really loved Titans. I think it's a 4.5 out of 5-star show. Close to 5-star. I think more episodes. I think 2 more episodes in season 1 would have really kind of given us that 5-star. But it's really fucking good. If you don't have the DC app and you're not watching it, you're missing out. Although you can just wait because it's eventually going to go to Netflix. And I think that's DC just trying to make more money. I don't know how much the app is making. Maybe it's being really successful. Maybe it's not. But I think them putting it on Netflix is them just trying to gain more revenue. Young Justice just came out this Friday. The first 3 episodes of Season 3, Outsiders. And I didn't realize how much I missed Young Justice until I was watching Young Justice again. Young Justice is amazingly fun. And it's not the best writing out there, but it doesn't have to be. What Young Justice does well is what Harry Potter does well. It has a beautifully well-crafted, believable, and takes itself seriously world. Right? I know it's the DC Universe, but it's its own DC Universe, and there's changes and there's growth. There's a big shocker that happens with Aqualad, and what happens with him in the 2-year jump. And there's time that changes, right? The stuff that happens with Nightwing, you see the costumes change. Like Superman and Wonder Woman's and Batman's costumes reflect the Rebirth and New 52 era now, rather than the underwear and the Star-Spangled Panties era. It's changing and evolving. It has such a beautiful, glorious world. And some of the only thing I would say is dialogue seems a little forced, right? But it's still fucking good. I can't believe how good Young Justice was in the first 2 seasons and got canceled. I know why it got canceled. Toy sales and all that stuff, but I'm so glad it's on the streaming service because the first 3 episodes were really fun, really good introduction. The great thing is that they release them 3 episodes at a time, so it's like it's one big episode. It's like a regular TV show episode, like a good 60-minute TV show, but you're getting in doses of 3 episodes. So getting Young Justice back, I'm so pumped. And again, right? What's the connectivity between Titans and Young Justice? Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson, Nightwing, I have to say, is probably one of the most marketable superheroes. They need to get on that. And maybe this is an example, right? Dick Grayson in Titans, Dick Grayson's in Outsiders, not Outsiders, but Young Justice Outsiders. Like, I feel as though Dick Grayson is that character that you can have be as Batman as you can without being Batman and being his own person, right? I've always thought of Dick Grayson as a great Batman, Spider-Man in between, but at the same time, you can just throw him in any show and it works, and that's what I love about Dick Grayson. So amazing. I'm so happy it's back. And then finally, the CW shows, which I have to say, for the most part, have been good. There's some hiccups, right? I'm behind on Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm behind on Black Lightning. I'm trying to catch up on them. Flash has been really fun this season. I don't like the new suit that much. It's grown on me, but I still prefer the older suit. I think it's just because he's missing the chin. Right, the chin is what kills me. But I have to say this is as good as the previous season, which season 4 was good. So season 5, good. I'm enjoying it. Good overall story. Arrow is the best it's been in years. The previous season of Arrow was really good, but this season has been really fun. And it feels kind of back to home without it doing anything too crazy or too Biff Pam-Powy. It feels like good old-fashioned Arrow, where I don't know where things are going, but I really enjoy the story and I enjoy the ride. Supergirl is okay. I feel as though there's a dip in qualities with this season, and not for nothing. I think it's just mainly because Supergirl has become very preachy in whatever she's trying to do, and the characters become very preachy. And And that bothers me. I don't want my characters to be too preachy about anything. They don't need to be social justice heroes. They don't need to go out there and stand for a particular cause or anything like that. They just need to be heroes, right? And that's the thing. But it's still a good show. And I can't comment as much about DC Legends and Black Lightning because, well, I still need to catch up on them. But yeah, they're both good shows. In saying that, right, we're going to and the crossover was really fun this year. The beginning and the end were really fun. The middle kind of meh. I'm really curious to see how Crisis on Infinite Earths is going to go next month. Not next month, next year. With that said, I'm going to take a little pause right now, and then I will come back. We'll talk about the state of DC Comics, and then we'll go into my comic. So, on to the state of DC Comics and how it's been the past year with this actual, comics. I would have to say 2018 has actually been a really good year for DC. A lot of its major titles and major characters have been pushing out some really good stories. You had the end of DC Metal going into now Heroes of Crisis, and you've continuously had Doomsday Clock be basically the three big events that have happened. And from DC Metal, we get the New Age of Heroes, which is Brimstone, Damage, The Unexpected, the New Challengers, Silencer, Sideways, Mortal Men, and Terrifics, and of which the only ones that are still around is Silencer, Terrifics, Sideways, and what is it called? Damage. All the rest are getting canceled, right? Curse of Brimstone, I think, is ending next month. I could be wrong. And this kind of happens when you bring in new comics and you bring a boatload of them. There's a good chance that 2/3 of those comics are not going to see it past issue 10, and then the rest may stick around to at least issue 12 or more. In saying that, I have to say all the titles have been relatively good. Some of them, the ones that succeeded, Silencer is without a doubt the best of the titles, with Damage coming in next and Sideways afterwards, and Terrifics after that. Those are my four favorite, right? Those were, straight to the point, hit you in the face with what they're about and non-stop story, right? Those are why those titles are not getting canceled. Although I don't know about Sideways and Terrifics. I heard a rumor they might, but nothing official has come out. But, Silencer has been one of the best titles of 2018. I know that's a bold thing to say for a new title, but I think she's one of the best new characters and best new storytelling that has gone on with a DC comic. And it kind of sucks because Curse of Brimstone and The Unexpected and The Immortal Men are serviceable and good storytelling, but they just are slow burns. Like, you can have a slow burn story and a slow burn concept if it's something that's already established, like Batman and Superman, or Wonder Woman, or Green Lantern, or any of the cats, right? Like, right now, Batman's a slow burn with what Tom King's doing with him. 100+ issues, right? Same thing with Justice League. At the end of the day, Scott Snyder wants to do, a long-ass run where he's telling this big story. You can do that slow burn because schmucks like me are going to go out and buy that comic regardless. And eventually, word of mouth, we're going to attract people. It's tough when you have something new. If Silencer didn't hit the note the way she did, shit, who's going to want to read it? It's like Curse of Brimstone's a great comic, right? But I'm telling you, it was like issue 5 before I actually started catching up. Like, I read the first issue, and then issue 2, 3, 4, and 5 I just didn't read, and then finally I started catching up. I'm like, oh, this is good. It's slow burn, but it's good. Same thing with the Immortal Men. Immortal Men really was rough early going, but it got better as you get going. The problem is that they're not going to be around. I think Immortal Men and Expect have already been canceled and they're gone. They're so forgettable at this point, I don't even remember. And Curse of Brimstone is canceling. So, it's good that we got some winners out of that, and I think that little experiment, for the most part, is a success. If we get 3 new titles out, 3 or 4 new titles that stick out of a batch of 10, like, shit, let's go with it. Let's make it happen. Individually, I think DC, also with their comics, have been doing very well. I think Superman, again, Bendis, a lot of people were expecting this big bombastic thing when he came, but he's doing this small stuff, and again, kind of not using this term too much, but a slow burn with the character, and I've really enjoyed Bendis' run. Again, it doesn't start off with bit, boom, pow, boom that you want, but I think it's, for the most part, it's been fun. I think Wonder Woman up till the end of James Robinson's run has been good. Flash has consistently been good, and Flash has gone up in my rank. I have mentally in my head my list of my top 10 favorite characters. Flash is something that it's taken 10 years for any one character to do. He's moved up in the rank in one place. I know it sounds silly, but I'm very stingent about my favorite characters, and he overtook someone that I didn't think he was going to overtake, but he did. So, I mean, Flash has been great. I fucking love Flash. I mean, look at all my Flash figures right there. Just so do a little tilt right here. I love the Flash. Probably because there's been so much exposure to me from the Flash with the TV shows and the movies and everything. But I love Barry, so his comic has been really good. I think most of the team-up comics have been good, with the exception of Justice League. I have to say Justice League up to the end, before they did the relaunch, was just faltering. I think Christopher Priest on it was probably the only good thing, and then other than that it was just Rebirth. Issue number 1, Rebirth onwards, was such a bland comic. Christopher Priest's run, and talking about Christopher Priest, his fucking Deathstroke is beautiful, and I love it to death. Love it to death. Face, neck, and chest. Right? It's amazing. But with the exception of his run on Justice League, it was boring everything up to that point. And then with this, post DC Metal with this new team, it's good storytelling, but here's the thing, there's too much. There's too many members. And a lot of the members aren't getting focused. Like, Batman's getting focused, Wonder Woman's getting focused, Aquaman's getting focused, and Martian Manhunter is getting a little bit of focus, but with the exception of this previous issue, which is starting to focus on Jon Stewart and Kendra Hall, or Kendra Saunders, sorry, Hawkgirl, and Martian Manhunter, with the exception of this one previous issue, right? One previous issue. So many of the characters aren't utilized. Cyborg, I barely even notice he's on the team. Flash, he's there, but don't really notice him, right? Green Lantern, Jon Stewart, really hasn't done much. Same thing with Hawkgirl. Like, I know they're kind of doing storytelling now, but, like, too many characters. And I've always said this, I think Justice League always works best when it's 7 to 8 main members, and then you have a reserve team, which is kind of what Scott Stein is doing, but he has 10 to 11 members in a reserve team, which is not good, right? And I know you guys I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I think the specific team members are important. Not for nothing, I love Jon Stewart, but he's never worked on the Justice League other than the cartoon. I think he works best as a Green Lantern Corps member, as the leader of the Green Lantern Corps, but being the Green Lantern of Earth was never a shindig, right? It was never really Guy's shindig either. It was more Kyle, or it was Hal's. So, and of the two, I always pick Hal. He's my favorite Green Lantern. I think the team should always be Bruce as Batman, Clark as Wonder Woman, Diana as... Clark as Superman, not Wonder Woman. Clark as Superman, Diana as Wonder Woman, Barry as Flash, you have Hal as Green Lantern, you have Vic Cyborg, and then the 8th member can be our boy Martian Manhunter. That's 8 core members, and then you have a bunch of reserve members that you can kind of pull in wherever you can. But those 8, you can have a story being done with 4 of them and a story being done with the other 4. However you want to approach it. I think that's what I would fix about Justice League. I'm not going to bitch and moan about Justice League too much because we have a lot more to talk about. But I think as though the team-up books were definitely something that hurt. And I think scheduling for Doomsday Clock has definitely hurt it too. I think Doomsday Clock is a fantastic book that's just taking so long that it's hurting it. It's going to read better in trade. One thing I think DC has been doing really well is the introduction of his Black Label. Although I have not read it, I've heard nothing but good things about Batman White Knight. And I've been reading Batman Damn, and Batman Damn is really fun. All controversies about the Bat Shaft, the Bat Cock, the Bat Dick aside. The Black Label is unapologetically a well-done series of books that are coming out. And not just that, what I like about it is they're not gonna fucking lie to you. Like, Damn has a couple months in between each issue, and they're like, listen, we're taking our time with whatever book we decide to do. You can just deal with it. And I'm kind of cool with it. It works that way. I don't know why it works that way, and it doesn't work that way with something like Doomsday Clock. But, I mean, that's not for me to figure out. I'm the consumer. I'm not the the distributor. So, but for the most part, like I said, 2018 has been a good year for comics. The only thing I would say that I really was pissed off about was the marriage of Batman and Catwoman. You guys know it was coming. This is how I would. Here's the thing. If they are not going to get married on issue 50, don't make it into a big event, right? Just have it be another issue that we kind of get blindsided the fact that they try to elope and it doesn't happen. It would have been fine. If they're going to get married on issue 100, if you decide to do that, then do it on issue 100. But don't confuse fans, right? I think if you're going to do a slow burn of a story like this, which is fine, like, after issue 50, there's been some really good storytelling by Tom King. There's been some iffy ones, but for the most part, like, I think how they approached that wedding and how it got spoiled and ultimately the result hurt a lot of fans, right? Part of me felt as though they weren't going to get married. Part of me really felt like they were actually going to do it. They were going to do the last thing in comics I really wanted them to do before I die, whenever that may be, hopefully 80 years from now. But regardless, right, is to make Batman get married. Right? And if it's not going to happen, like, I get it. But, like, to make a big event about it and to slap the fans in the face with it and say, oh, whoa, 50 more issues, it might happen. Like, no. You should say, hey, listen, I have 100 issues planned out, right? This is a big part of the story. Let's see where it goes. And tell us that before they do a prelude setup and, like, 3 story arcs setting up to it and all this other stuff. Like, it just bad taste. But that's just, I'm not going to rant about it, the wedding anymore, because I've already ranted about it enough. So with that said, let's just get into it. Let's talk about comics. And we're going to start where we always start, with a little bit of Batman in our life, with Detective Comics 995. And speaking of Detective Comics, who's seen Jim Lee's art on issue 1000? It looks gorgeous. I can't wait to get that issue and then get it signed by him whenever he comes back. 995 is continuing this mysterious killer arc where he's kind of doing these murders that are reminiscent of Bruce Wayne's life, right? The first was these 2 people that got surgically recorrected and changed to look like the Waynes and then killed in the same fashion. Although, isn't it that Martha gets shot in the neck and Thomas gets shot in the head? But they didn't show. Whatever. This one, someone dies. Someone big in the Batman mythos is croaks, and you survive. You're super surprised. I'll give you a hint. It's not Alfred. I know they show Alfred on there. Never should that happen. But it should be interesting. I have my thoughts on who this ultimate killer would be. I feel as though it might be someone like Hush. Who knows? But this issue leaps and bounds above the previous issue. And I think Tomeshi is a great writer, and I think the first issue was kind of just didn't give me enough. This issue was enough on the bone. Pick up the previous issue and pick up this issue and get some good stuff. Batgirl, issue number 30. I love the art of Batgirl, I love the pacing, and I love the voice for Barbara Gordon, but I just don't care about the story. That's just the thing. I feel as though with Barbara Gordon, she's going to have a comic, which is fine. She needs to have a really personal, deadly, epic villain. And right now, she doesn't really. It's not bad. I enjoy this, right? I think it's good, but I don't think it's anything to write home to. And except for fans of Babs, I mean, what are you really going to get out of it? Because the story is just kind of mediocre. But like I said, good voice, good art, and overall, a decent read. Old Lady Harley, issue number 3, meeting the Bane twins. This is fun, right? It's Harley Quinn being Harley Quinn, right? Tierney is on there. He brings back Red Tool, which is one of my favorite characters from Harley Quinn's comic. It's just fun. If you're a Harley Quinn fan, read it. If you're not, don't. Batman Beyond, issue number 27. So this is continuing the Joker Beyond story arc, and lo and behold, the Joker is not too happy with how things have gone on in Gotham since he's left, and he really, really wants to take things over again and teach these young Jokers what it's like to be the Clown Prince of Crime. I've been enjoying Batman Beyond a lot more because of 3 things. First is I like Terry being with Ace. I think that romance has a lot more interest in it, and it more intrigued than it was with Dana. Okay? Number 2 is Robin. I love Matt as Robin. I think his costume looks cool, and I think it brings a certain level of continuity to the comic. Number 3 is that Batman Beyond is starting to build his own family, which is good. You need the Batman family, especially in a comic that hinges so much on borrowing from other stuff, because this is borrowing so much. It's borrowing from the mainstream continuity, it's borrowing from the animated continuity. It is its own weird hybrid. It needs its own flavor to it. It needs its own family, right? So Batman Beyond has been really good. Raven, Daughter of Darkness, issue number 11. So this is the second to last issue, and I know I haven't really been talking about this series that much, and it's mostly because when I get home I make a list of comics I'm going to read in what order, and this right here I usually read after I put up my video, because it's a good sit down and like at the end of the night read. And saying that, it's been a really good miniseries and one of the best miniseries DC has put out in the past 5 years, so pick it up. That's all I'm going to say. Silencer, issue number 12. This is Silencer versus Talia al Ghul for ultimately the fate of her family as well as the fate of Leviathan. Great back and forth between Talia and Silencer, and I think the relationship they have is amazing one of antagonists and enemies and frenemies and all that jazz. Really good stuff. This comic, like I said previously, is one of the best comics to come out this past year. Pick it up. Titans, issue number 32. Not much happens with the Titans in here, but we get to learn more about Mother Blood. And you know what? It's a decent, good issue. We get to see how the Cult of Blood is really kind of shown in the Rebirth universe. We get to see a lot of the origin of Mother Blood and how it ties into Dark Knight, Dark Knight's metal. So, I mean, on a whole, this issue was a good origin issue, and I'm really curious to see where things go from here. Terrifics, issue number 11. So this came close to being my pick of the week because it's terrific. This issue is really the fallout for the Terrifics and what basically is happening with them after they are separated from each other. And that's the basic gist. We get, I think, Plastic Man's story is probably the most heartbreaking, but for the most part, like this is really important, good storytelling, and I hope Terrific stays on as a comic book. Justice League Odyssey, issue number 4. I don't know where this comic's going or why it's going there. I enjoy it, but really, what's going on? Yeah, Justice League Odyssey. It's fun, but like I said, I feel as though there's direction, but not enough for me to stay hooked. I will continue to pick it up, but I think more Darkseid would definitely benefit it. Flash, issue number 61. This is continuing Flash, trying to learn about the different forces and how they interact and trying to learn from them, eventually trying to really become the fastest man alive. This was better than the previous issue, where you again dealing with the Strength Force and the Sage Force and basically Barry trying to figuring out. I think the art in this is a little bit better too. And this cover, if there was a cover of the week, it'd be this cover. Pick it up. Flash has consistently been pound for pound a great book. Wonder Woman issue number 61. Aphrodite gets brought into this big war that's going on between basically Ares and Wonder Woman, these two countries whom names I don't even remember. I have a couple problems with this, mainly because it throws away a lot of continuity for Wonder Woman. She doesn't know who Aphrodite is until Aphrodite comes in. And does that mean that she's never met Aphrodite, or that she forgets who Aphrodite is, or did Aphrodite take a new form? Who knows? Not just that, but Steve Trevor is shocked when Aphrodite says that she's a god. Bro, you're banging a god. How do you not know? Like, why are you shocked that gods exist? Bro. It's a good issue, but it's just not winning my palate like Robinson's run did, so yeah. Action Comics. This is, again, dealing more with the red fog, the red mist, or is it the red fog? The red smoke? I don't know. Monster going up against Clark, and really how his life has just stumbled into chaos, and apparently Jimmy Olsen had sex with Talia al Ghul. maybe it was a joke, but anyways, good stuff, right? Overall, fun. I enjoy Bendis' run on Action Comics and on Superman. I just wish there was a little bit more push to the plot. There is, but it's not enough. And finally, Heroes in Crisis, issue number 4 of 9. Heroes in Crisis is a slow burn. I've been using that a lot this video. I'm sorry. Slow burn of a comic. I still don't know where it's going. We still don't have much on who the actual killer is. But that's not what the story's about. The story's about this life and the trauma that can be caused by anything and how you deal with it. So it's nice that we get some answers, especially what's going on with all these interviews. And we think we know that Booster is at least not the killer. But was it Harley? Who knows? Art is gorgeous in this, though. Storytelling is pretty on point. It's just a slower read than the other ones. With that said, my pick of the week, without a doubt, goes to Silencer, issue number 12. Great way to end this year for Silencer. It kind of sets up stuff going forward, and it does beautiful art and great storytelling and great dialogue. Silencer is without a doubt one of the best comics this year, and it's my pick of the week. With that said, I plan to be in next week. I do have work, but I don't have anything else, so it should work out where I can get out these videos pretty well. And yeah, it's I appreciate everything that you guys have done. I appreciate all the people that watch. I know I'm not a big YouTube channel. I know it's just kind of me spouting out, but that's what I enjoy about this. I don't do it for views. I don't do it for money. I don't do it for anything other than fun. Thank you for all my patrons. Thank you for all you guys, everyone, all the support and all the love. I appreciate it. This is Andrew saying peace out for now, and Happy New Year.